struggling with relationships, especially intimate relationships during this time? If so, stay tuned because in this video, I'm going to share with you 3 secrets on how to stress less and strengthen your relationships at the exact same time. Aloha, ladies, and welcome to Wisdom Wednesdays. We're so happy that you are here. I am your host, Dr. Heather Tucker. I work with amazing women who want to stress less, strengthen their relationships, and increase their confidence and energy so therefore they can lead with more momentum in both business and life. And so, going back on this topic right now, relationships are being attacked at every corner. Since the quarantine has happened, there has been a significant increase in a divorce rate. There's been a significant increase in death. There's been a significant increase in suicide rate. And the goal is to be able to restore and heal that and also strengthen the family connection because tomorrow is not promised. And so, just to kind of let you know where I'm coming from with this, I talk about biz life harmony, especially really the life harmony part. That includes like your health, your relationships, peace with trauma and peace with PTSD. And where that comes from is my own personal journey of being a wife to a Purple Heart Marine Corps veteran. He did 2 tours in Iraq and Afghanistan and came back with PTSD. And I had no idea what PTSD it was or what it stood for, no clue, until I experienced it firsthand in caring for him. So first of all, I want to share with you that for what PTSD is. PTSD stands for post-traumatic stress disorder. And it's really not necessarily a disorder as much as it is a difference in how the mind operates, especially the mental and emotional quadrants of the brain. So when there is something intense that happens, it basically locks in the long-term memory triggers, which can result in great mood swings, not a desire to be around people. It's a lot of isolation, a lot of depression. We have in this country, going back to Veterans Day, 22 veterans or more, especially now, committing suicide per day. Okay? And then the intimate relationships with combat veterans are even more difficult because they either result in multiple marriages or they result in higher divorce rates. So technically, me and my husband have a 5% success rate when it comes to marriage. And we're actually doing pretty well because of practicing what I teach and sharing with you what I'm going to share with you today. So, first and foremost, we don't have to have a great past to have a great future. And it is in our past that brings, we can't change the past, right? But understanding the past in order to know where we're going, it's good to be able to have clarity and awareness of where we've been. Because stress is contagious, especially in relationships. Have you ever had your partner or even a business partner or a friend, and all of a sudden they are stressed, and all of a sudden we feel that stress, right? So it's time to be able to take the pressure off. Now, for those of you who are married to veterans like myself, I just want to send you love and let you know, it's easy. And I felt during this time of being married unloved, unappreciated, unvalued, unsupported, not respected, not cared about, right? So now, what if you could feel totally loved, valued, supported, appreciated, and feel totally confident and totally powerful all the time? All the time. How does that happen, right? It happens because of surrendering to your calling. It also happens from allowing the peace from above to come like a flood and fill you up totally, inside and out. And that also allows you to be able to give that peace with others. So the peace from above comes like a flood to those who earnestly seek it, right? And the peace within will automatically manifest the peace with others. So in this, like, again, basically we're fighting against the odds. Like, for those of you who are business leaders and business builders or desiring business builders, 95% of businesses pretty much don't make it through the first couple of years. So it's all about this fighting against the odds, right? Fighting against the odds of 5% success in business and in family. And it's not just about fighting against the odds, but it's about winning, right? Winning and becoming victorious. And it is absolutely, totally possible with what I'm getting ready to share with you. The journey sometimes, which we call, I don't know if you've ever heard of the hero's journey. And the hero's journey is where, we stray away from home. We go through some great challenges, maybe going through even the valley of the shadow of death. And we come out transformed and renewed, and we're able to rise up and support other people who may be still walking through the journey. We only need to be a step ahead of the people that we serve. I don't have it all together, nor do I desire to. And I think that's what makes it great when I'm coaching, because I can be real, authentic, and genuine and just say what it is, right? Now, there was a pretty awesome quote about, how marriage is hard or love is sometimes hard. Yes? Well, it can be much easier than you think, right? So let me share with you what these secrets are. What helped me along my journey to restore my family. And I know that it can also support you too. Okay, first secret. Secret number one. Let your love rise above every fear. So what happens now, I shared with you that PTSD isn't just necessarily military PTSD. There's a lot of people that experience different ranges of PTSD, even civilians, right? We just call it trauma, right? We've gone through maybe childhood trauma, adult trauma, etc. And the cool thing about my husband's PTSD, which wasn't really cool in the beginning, but looking back on it now, it forced me to pay attention to my own PTSD, right? My own trauma. And in this PTS or trauma arena, you either, especially when we're caught up in a situation or a circumstance, it's easy to have either two experiences, either flight, where we want to flee, or we want to fight, right? Flight or fight. It's similar to where, like, people think, and maybe you have thought this, I know I did, should I stay or should I go, right? Well, it's all these just two options, but what if there was another way? So the two main emotions that come when it comes to trauma and PTSD are fear right? And stress. So first of all, paying attention to what is fear. In fear, we can forget everything and run. It's really a lot of times false evidence appearing real. Or we can take that fear and change it to facing everything and rising. So therefore we can feel everything and relax. And that is where the love comes in. That is where the peace comes in. Because awareness of what's going on, and then also relying on God above. So it's almost like it's not necessarily as much just relying on God, but it's also taking inspired action and diligence on what He's called you to do or who He's called you to be. So letting our love rise above every fear. Love and the peace can annihilate negativity. It can change surroundings. There was a book called The Power of the Praying Wife. And in it, it said, do right more than be right. Give love more than get even. Now, it's easier to be able to say, forget all this and go. Right? Like, especially when the temporary situation, you may feel like, okay, I'm tired of this. Like, we're going to talk about forgiveness in a few. That's one of the tips. And in those times of being tired of this, you've got to remind yourself about commitment. So, and not just commitment, but what are you fighting for? Who is the real enemy? And if you think about even your family, maybe your family member is struggling with trauma and it makes them have difficult relationships or unwanted behaviors like smoking and drinking and all kind of ways that people escape, right? But when we give them unconditional love, there's a difference between conditional love and unconditional love. Conditional love is, oh, if you do this or you act this way or you're like this, then I'll love you, right? Unconditional love is giving that love even when maybe that person doesn't feel like they deserve it, or maybe you don't feel like they deserve it. We're called to be loving anyway. Right? Y'all let me know if this is making some sense. Like, drop some comments in the chat. Let our love rise above every fear, because love will annihilate negativity, and love will give you that peace and that assurance and being able to stand on that solid rock, right? That will allow us to be able to stand the test of times. And it also, especially when our love comes from the right place, it's unlimited. It's a never-ending supply that we can tap into. So let your love rise above every fear. This goes into the next one of gratitude. So in those darkest times where I was like, you know what, I'm just ready to throw in the towel. I'm just ready to call it quits. I was reminded about two things: gratitude and forgiveness. You see, Dr. Heather has gone through some hellacious relationships. Can I say hellacious is a new word, hellacious relationship. And then before I met my husband, I had prayed to God, like, okay, God, we got everything situated. What is the purpose of all the success in the world if we have no one to share it with, right? So tell me, what do you have for me? What's going on? And that very night, I had a dream. And in that dream, it was my husband and my son. So when I saw them in person, I was like, whew, this is really interesting. And all that I had gone through previously had prepared me to be an awesome wife and mom for my new family. So, reminded to be grateful for the people in your life, to be grateful for your life. And especially when, like right now, when we feel so heavy and so depressed and there's so much going on, right? We can, and when we step into gratitude and we think about the things that we're grateful for, that we're thankful for, gratitude and depression cannot occupy the same space. So how to be able to stress less and strengthen your relationships? Focus on the things that you are grateful for. This also ties into forgiveness, right? So my grandmother and grandfather, they were married 73 years, and they would have been married 74 this year. Unfortunately, my grandpa passed away last year, right before my daughter was born. And what was really cool is a week before my daughter was born, me and my husband actually sat down with my grandparents. It was just us. And I so wish that I had recorded this conversation because it was so powerful. We had asked them, my grandparents, a couple of questions. And one of the questions that we asked them was, what do you do when you want to strangle the other person? What do you do when you want to strangle the other person? And my grandmother, she said, oh, he wanted to strangle me all the time, but the Lord kept me. That was funny. And then my grandfather said, Heather, you just got to take it one day at a time. I'm like, one day at a time? What do you mean? Tired of taking it one day at a time. But what he was saying is that sometimes things look a little different in the morning. Some days you may hate each other. Some days you may love each other. There's this thin line between love and hate. But love is a decision, it's a commitment, right? And it's also about recognizing how the situations and the circumstances that we find ourselves in grow us. So the Bible says that we should forgive 70 or 77 times 7 times, right? And then some. And that's absolutely true. Because forgiveness, there's a difference between surface level forgiveness and deep level forgiveness. Ultimate forgiveness is that you have forgiven and that you have, it's almost like forgive and forget and show that grace and mercy like God showed us, right? So forgiving is a gift for really you. And unforgiving leads to resentment. It leads to bitterness. Again, it goes back to, is it more important to be right or is it more important to give love? Right? Is it more important to stand firm into, what you believe or really give people that grace and mercy? So what allowed us to be able to, or allowed me to become the eye of the hurricane, which is the most calm within the storm, so that eventually the hurricane around me dissipates, was this whole part of forgiving. Yes, forgiving over and over again. Because here, the reason why, people are not their behaviors. Recognizing who the real enemy is sometimes when it comes in. Recognizing that you can accept the person and you can change the behavior. And people are just doing the best that they can with the resources that they have available. And also recognizing that sometimes the illnesses or disorders that our family members may have, they may not have any like, it may not have been their choice that they had got this, but it is their choice to be able to resolve it. And it's also our choice to be able to be there with love and aloha and not enabling, right? Give love more than, do right more than be right. Give love more than get even. And also recognize what is the learning within ourselves, because our relationships, ladies, are a reflection of what's going on also within us, right? So to deny or to reject, like, and to just basically call it quits, it's almost like we're denying or rejecting or calling it quits on something that's also in us too. Now, even if this has happened, like, I totally understand. Like, when you get to the point, what do you do when you feel like you've given it all you've got? What more do you want from me? I'm doing the best that I can, right? And you feel like you don't have anything else to give. And this is why giving out of my own strength, I will always fall short. I will always feel depleted, right? But allowing God's Holy Spirit to come through and in and through me, and tapping into an unlimited supply, then I give from my overflow and I never become depleted. All right. The last thing. Self-care, ladies. Self-care is not selfish. We're taught to really love and be there for everybody else and everything. The reality is we can't pour out from an empty cup. Right now, I'm at the beach. Today's going to be an awesome, powerful day. I took a mommy wifey vacation. And it was so well deserved after everything that has transpired. And it's allowing me to be able to recharge, rejuvenate, reconnect, tap back into me. So therefore, when I go back, I can be even stronger for my family and my loved ones. It's interesting because I grew up thinking that self-care was not okay. Like, you're supposed to be there for other people more than yourself. When in reality, being there for you, if you don't take care of you, who will? Especially when there's situations, like, a lot of times we expect other people to take care of us, or our happiness and our joy to come from other people, even our spouses or our kids or our loved ones or our parents. The reality is, who is in charge of your happiness? You are, right? So it's almost like allow yourself and give yourself permission to be filled up and to be that example. We as women are the emotional GPS of the whole family. So how mommy and wife goes, how everybody goes. You know, there's two things that I wear on my necklace. Let me show you. This first, so I have my cross. Yes, this is, Jesus is the reason for the season. Amen to that. Then the other one is my purple heart. So notice on this side, there's like a hole. There's like this hole that's been covered with like crystals. This is an amethyst. But a lot of times we have all these heart wounds and these heartstrings. Like, not only is it our mind, you ever had where we kind of want our mind and our heart to be on the same accord. And sometimes it's not. But it is possible to be able to always have it on the same accord. And it's about having a renewed mind and a healed heart. Because a lot of times we make decisions, forget this, based on the temporal situation, and we don't pay attention to the impact of how it impacts us for the long haul. Ladies, don't give up. Don't give in. Be that giant within. It's time to unleash your greatness and step into all that you've called to be. Let me know what your favorite part about this video was. Type it in the comments below. Make sure to share this video. If this was powerful for you, I'm sure it can be powerful for someone else that you may know. And if you are ready to become the change that you wish to see, reach out to us and let's have a talk. And we don't want you to go the battle alone. We want to make sure that you have support. And we are here just for you. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time. Aloha.